70% of students who fail exams fail because they didn't start early preparation. But here's the wild part: 1% of the students who pass also didn't study early either. But how do they pass? How do they do it? They know how to crash through the whole course overnight. If you're watching this video, you are probably one of these three people. You were busy with other stuffs and didn't have time to read. You procrastinated. Of course, there's no shame there. We've all been there. Or your exam is tomorrow and panic just setting. Don't worry, don't panic. You just click the right video, just watch along and stick to the end, as these 7 tactics I'm about to give you to crash through the whole course overnight is going to help you. Before I give you these tactics, let me explain and convince you why these tactics actually work. You see, when under pressure, our focus tends to increase. Our brain tends to focus more under pressure, and our energy increases under pressure. So, the 7 tactics is we are going to utilize this focus and these characteristics of the brain to implement it into the 7 tactics, because we know that our brain function under pressure. So, we're about to use everything we do. We're about to utilize pressure in everything we do, because that's when our focus is more increased. Tactics 1: gather the right materials. When I mean right materials, I don't mean textbooks. In fact, textbooks is not 12 hours to read. You can't be opening textbooks. I know that a material is only right if it got someone an A last year, because textbooks are for 12 weeks. You just have 12 hours to read. So you gather the right materials like past questions, like summary notes, and your your important note like jot notes where you jot down points. Those are the kind of materials you should gather. Do not open textbooks, because lecturers don't test textbooks. They set their questions on the slides and the past question. So you're about to crash read. You can't go about opening big textbooks. You have to open what is actually important at that moment. So that's slides and past questions. So the tactics 2: permutation. This is using the 80-20 rule, is studying the 20 topics, the 20% topics that 80% of the question is going to come out from. So when you're reading, you know these topics that the lecturers is about to set more of. So you don't go about reading all the topics. You just know these topics. You have to read what will come out, and you know the focus topics, the area of concentration where you should concentrate more. So you have to concentrate more on those topics instead of just reading all through and not having anything at the end of the day. So you have to read the 20% topics that is going to bring that 80% of the questions is going to come out from. Because you don't have to study the whole book, you just have to study the examiner's tactics. Try to stay awake, because comfort is the enemy of progress. So you are about to crash read, and you imagine you're about to crash read for a whole course, that the exam is tomorrow, and you are sleeping. No, coffee and caffeine is your study power. But don't just take extra strong energy drink, like energy drinks that are too strong, because it's going to make you too hyperactive and you might not gain anything all the night of reading. So take coffee, try to stay awake, try your best to stay awake and do the needful, because you can't be too comfortable when your exam is tomorrow. Of course, you can't even be comfortable because you've not been reading. You're about to read for an exam tomorrow. So you can't even be comfortable, and just utilize that and use it to prepare. Tactics 4: write down some things. Right, you have to write down some things on a piece of paper, maybe a law or a shortcut or mnemonics. You just have to write down some things, or a formula you have to remember. So when you write down those things, when you're about to like enter the exam hall, or when it's clear, very close to the time, you can just bring out that piece of paper and just quickly go through it, because here we are just trying to utilize pressure in everything we do. So when you look at those papers in a pressurized way, you're going to remember it and everything's going to stick to your head, and you'll notice what you've not understood, what you've not been able to understand since when you look at it, when you're about to enter the exam or to write this exam. When you look at those paper, or when you look at those points, you are going to understand it within quick seconds, within split seconds. You understand? So just write down those points, write down the formulas and everything, and just put it down somewhere, because when it is not written, it is not remembered. Is active recall. You will notice that even guys that have been reading for a very long time, it's possible for you to start reading this night or this afternoon and your exam is tomorrow and you get more than them, just because when they were reading they were not testing themselves, they were just reading. So, and that's why active recall is very important. When you've finished crash reading, or when you are still crash reading, or when you've reached a point that you've crash read, you just have to go back to and reflect on what you've read to just test yourself on maybe on how you understand it better, or how you're able to answer questions with what you've read and what you've the knowledge you've gathered. So that's why active recall is very important. You need to test yourself on what you learned. Yes, and most guys that have been reading since, they don't bother testing themselves. They just assume that, oh, I already have the knowledge, I already have the information, I can go to write the exam, because they feel they've been reading. But you are just crash reading now. So what you have to do is that you have to utilize active recall. You have to test yourself on what you read. And trust me, you're going to do better. And what most people do is they reread. They don't test themselves. After reading slide 1 to 20, tomorrow they read slide 20 to 30. Maybe they complete the whole slide. Then another time they start from the beginning to the end, they reread again. They keep rereading, rereading, reading. That's not active recall. Active recall is when you close your books and you try to remember what you read and test yourself with the information you've garnered. Test yourself by solving past questions and stuff like that. That's what active recall is. So stop rereading and start. So create fast mnemonics. You don't have to know these mnemonics. You can forget these mnemonics later. But for this night, for this moment you want to crash it, just create fast mnemonics. Make it very funny so you can remember it. Make these mnemonics very funny so you can remember it. Make sure you create mnemonics on maybe what you don't understand or what you are trying to remember. Maybe you wrote it on a piece of paper and also didn't work. Just create mnemonics. You can forget the mnemonics later. You might not need it later. But for now, create these mnemonics so you can actually remember it later. It's going to help. Mnemonics always help, and it's going to help you if you are just crashing in for an exam. And the last strategy I'm about to give you is the most important. Most of you might not count it as anything, but it's very important, and it is sleep. You have to sleep 2 to 3 hours before the exam. Yes, we know you're panicking, tension has risen, and you need to do well in this exam. You are all about reading, 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 crash reading, following everything I've just taught. But you need to be strategic in whatever you do, because when you don't sleep, recall is going to be very, very difficult. You might just crash read, and after in the exam, writing the exam, you might just forget most of the points and remember minimal things. So for you to make your brain function well, because it's your brain, we are controlling the brain right now, not the mind. Your mind wants to keep reading all through the night, but your brain wants to rest. So you have to sleep at least 2 to 3 hours before the exam, so you can rest your brain and you can be able to recall all the things you've learned and all the things you've crash read, because this is very important. So after crash reading, after following the tactics I've given you, make sure you sleep 2 to 3 hours. That doesn't mean you should sleep off. Do not sleep off. If you sleep off, then all the tactics that has been given is just a waste. So do not sleep off, but take at least 2 to 3 hours before you write the exam, so your brain can be energized, can have more rest, and you can go for the exam and smash the exam. But this hear this out. This is what I'm about to tell you. These strategies I've given you is not for you to be guaranteed an A. This might not guarantee you an A in the exam, but it's for you to pass, because it's better to pass than to fail. You've not been reading for a very long time. You just have like 8 hours of preparation, 12 hours of preparation, and you want to crash it a whole course. You want to crash it for 12 hours or 8 hours. You want to crash it overnight, a whole course. These tactics work. Might not give you an A, but you will definitely not fail if you follow these tactics. From tactics one, gathering the right materials, getting mnemonics, sleeping well, like writing on a piece of paper for active recall. When you follow these 7 tactics, it's going to make everything easy and stress free, and you'll pass your exams. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to pass your exam. So just follow these tactics and you'll be able to crash the whole course overnight. I'm Jbog. I drop study hacks every week. So make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the subscription button. Make sure you like and subscribe.